Hi guys, something new that we've started doing at the moment is refurbishing or repairing iPhone 4, 4S, 5, 5S, 5C screens. So when you get a screen that you've replaced already, like this one, you can't really see the crack on it, but this was replaced because it had a crack in the top glass. Now, with most of the screens at the moment, you are finding that the top glass is breaking, but the LCD and the digitizer is actually staying intact. So if I plugged this LCD in, I'd still be able to use a touchscreen. The LCD will be absolutely fine. So I have purchased one of these little machines, which you can pick up on eBay. A couple of days to ship. Pretty simple. Arrives, and all you have to do is screw these in. That holds the screen down. So when you turn it on, it starts warming up, and this hot plate obviously is heating up to the degrees that you see on the machine in front. Now it says degrees centigrade, but you're actually finding that that's working in degrees Fahrenheit. Now I have a wonderful little device that I'm just trying to find. So this little thing, infrared thermometer. So you basically shine your infrared light where you're trying to read the temperature, and it will show you. This is in degrees Fahrenheit, which is getting close to matching what this is. So it's not actually showing degrees centigrade. In degrees centigrade you're probably looking at about 30, something like that. So about 80 degrees, or between 75 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit is probably the correct temperature you need to be able to debond the top glass of this iPhone 4 or any iPhone, to be able to remove it, to be able to clean it, to be able to put on a new glass. Now we've tried different temperatures running up to about 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and it is too hot. It will burn your LCD and make it completely unusable. So this machine works, it sort of heats up, overheats itself, and then cools itself back down to a regular temperature. So you need to turn it on and leave it there for probably 5 minutes, just really to get a feel for setting the temperature. At the moment, I mean, that's showing 92 degrees Fahrenheit. Our laser is showing about 88 degrees. So this is still warming up, slightly inaccurate. Well, one of them is. I trust the infrared a little bit more on this machine, but this will cool itself back down to 77 to 80 degrees, about where we need it. Then I'm going to show you the procedure and exactly how we sort of go through breaking the screens. 1 second. Right, so the temperature has cooled itself down a little bit, running about 78 degrees Fahrenheit. Now if we use our infrared, still running slightly warmer, 83, 84. Now in different parts of the heat plate will register at different temperatures, because it doesn't seem to be regulating the heat perfectly evenly across it. It seems to be hotter in certain areas, but I think that's just about fine now. So the first stage of the repair process, I'm just going to see if I can... Oh, you can just about see the crack there. So the first stage in this process is to remove the frame, because you can't do anything with the frame on. So literally I'm just going to pop that glass down, flex at the top, just the way I like to do it. You can flex at the bottom, I don't think it makes much difference. So you're going to leave that there for probably 1 minute, maybe 90 seconds, and that's just going to warm up the adhesive slightly to enable you to remove the frame relatively easily. Now you want to remove the frame carefully, because you want to reuse it. Once you've put a new glass on the front, you're going to have to re-stick a frame in. You can buy a frame as a replacement, but you know, they're £2.50, £3, where you could just take this one off carefully and obviously try and reuse it. So there's no point spending money if you don't have to. So that's going to be the trick. So what I'm going to try and do is just put my camera up slightly. So you can still just about see it. Now it's hot, put a glove on, because it is going to be warm and you will find it a bit toasty. So temperature now, you can feel it. I mean, it's hot to touch but not scalding hot, but it's definitely warm. So start at the top, start at the bottom, and try and do this so you can see. If you just give a pull, you can see it just coming away from the case. Little case opening tool. And then you can start running that just around the edge of the frame. And it will just, I mean, it really does come away quite easily. It's not a very difficult little process, but it is an important one. So you're just following it round. And there we go. Right. So that frame, pretty good condition, no problem. Right, so frame is off. Now you've just got the LCD digitizer and the top glass. So now you're actually going to clamp it down to the machine. So you can take off your glove a second and basically clamp it down here. Now the little rubber ends, they move forwards and backwards, and you can adjust them and play around with the positioning and the height and things like that. If you can get all four on, then do it, because it's just going to give you a more secure seal. So that is now stuck pretty well on the machine, and what we're going to use now is some wire to be able to separate them. The wire that we're using is a tiny roll of 0.1mm wire, and that enables you to be able to get the screen off, or the glass off certainly. So you're going to roll out probably ½ meter of wire, get a little pair of tweezers and give it a few wraparounds. I'm not being so fucking stupid. There we go. So just give that a few wraparounds just to give you something that you can hold on to. Just hold on to the other end of this. So you want to just pull out enough wire so it comes 2 or 3 inches either side. Now this screen's been heating up probably for a minute and a half, and we'll just test it now just to see how the adhesive is. If you want to go right in from the bottom right corner, there you go, pull too hard and that's what happens, you break your wire. It's no big deal, you just start again. I think for the next run of wire I'd probably buy the next thickness up, so instead of getting 0.1mm it would be 0.12, just to give it a little bit additional strength. So wrap it around your tweezers again, pull a little bit out, start off at this bottom right corner, slide it in, and you know, you just want to go back and forth, left to right, back and forth. Right, so yeah, still carrying on. Now if you find that it's too tough going back and forth with the wire, then it's probably just not heated enough. So you can literally take the wire out and then start again. So, you know, that wire in at the bottom part, left to right, left to right. and you're just cutting through the old glue. So you go all the way up to the top, and then once you've reached the top, then you can just come back down again. And come all the way down, and basically once you've done it a few times, you'll be able to lift the wire and the LCD will come with you. So your LCD now looks like that with excess glue, and you can see the sort of where you've been going left and right, you can see that motion marked on the screen where it's been cutting through the glue. So you can now discard that, put it to one side because you're going to be using it later. The wire you can reuse. I found that once you've unwound it off of, you know, tweezers or anything like that, then it's got a kink to it, and you'll find there'll be glue residue stuck to the wire as well. So this top glass is pretty redundant now. There's not really much using it for anything. So that's what it looks like when it comes off. Again, with this flaky, almost like fake snow, heated glue. And you can see at the bottom there, that's where the crack was. So you can turn my little machine off, and now you can start working on the LCD and the digitizer. So what I probably do is let that cool down, because it's still a little bit warm, so I just give that 30 seconds to let it cool down. What you can start to do is just with the excess glue that's just laying on the top, you can get a bit of lint-free cloth and just give it a very gentle wipe. Now you're not going to be removing too much, but you'll get the big clumps off. You know, just get some clumps off. Now what you want to do is obviously ensure the LCD digitizer is working before you start the separation process, but you want to retest it a few times through this whole procedure, because you're going to need to ensure that you haven't damaged or broken anything, because if you have, there's no point carrying on. You need to start again with a new screen. So at this point what we're going to do is plug it in, see if it works. Right, so makeshift iPhone 4, just the board with a dot connector plugged into it, bang the charger in, plug the screen in, and you're all boots up. So screen looks absolutely fine, LCD looks good, touch seems to be responding well. Yeah, that all seems fine. So first part of the process is done when you haven't done any damage, that's good. The next part of the process is then cleaning at the screen. So yeah, okay. Right, so we have now got to clean this screen. So a couple of things you will need, or that I personally use, which I find work quite well. Lint-free cloth, razor blades, you can use metal or plastic, a toothbrush, acetone, and a debonder fluid. So these are all the bits that I use to be able to clean the screen, that I find work well for me, and hopefully they'll work well for other people as well. So I'm just going to set the camera up above, so I've got both hands free, and then we can start having a little clean. Right, so dip your toothbrush into your acetone, a few little drops, and you want to work from the middle. You don't want to be working straight from the edges. So just with that little bit of acetone, you're just rubbing it around in a circular motion around the middle of the screen. You can go up to the edges, but I would always start in the middle. And you can see it breaking down that excess glue on the screen the more you work it in. Have a little pause, get a little bit of cloth, start wiping just to get rid of those clumps of glue. Back with your toothbrush, back with the acetone, and back on. So you can see, I'll try and bring it a little bit closer. It's difficult to judge what you can see and what you can't see. So you can see you've just been working around the centre, and a lot of that glue has now been removed. And you've just got to be nice and careful and just work around the edges. Now, you've got to be quite careful that you don't put too much acetone and try and work, you know, get too much glue, too much acetone around the edges. Because what you don't want is for the acetone to seep in between the digitizer and the LCD, because it will leave like a watermark on the LCD, which is no good at all. So just take your time, no rush, just spend a few minutes doing this bit. So again, just working that acetone all around the screen, gently scraping, circular motion, to enable you to get that glue residue off of the screen. Now, once you've done that a few times, I then move over to the debonder, UV Loca Glue Remover / Debonder. Now, the reason why I use the acetone first is because acetone is about 80% cheaper than this stuff. So I bought a big tub of this, little tub of this. So once you've used the acetone, and then literally probably 5 drops to start off with, straight away with your cloth onto the debonder, start working that round the edges and every other part of the screen. Once you feel that you're getting resistance from the glue on the screen, as in it's not coming off very easily, again, just a little debonder, 1 drop, 2 drops in the area where the glue isn't coming off very well. Just give it a little wipe with the debonder fluid on it. You can do the whole screen and don't use the acetone. You can do that, but obviously it's going to increase your repair cost, because the acetone just makes it a little bit cheaper, because you can do a lot of the removal just by using the acetone. You don't have to use the debonder. Now, you can buy it at eBay, buy it from China. There's several wholesalers that do sell different products. You want to be spending probably £2.99 approximately on the debonder fluid for about 20 grams. You want to be spending probably £15 on a 5 litre tub of acetone. Your glue that we'll get to a little bit later on in the repair, you want to be buying that about a 50 gram pouch, 50 gram tube of Loca glue, which is the glue you'll set the new screen on. That's going to cost you about £9 or £10. Again, from eBay, different other suppliers, things like that. Now, sometimes you can be very, very gentle and use a razor blade, and you can just run the razor blade very gently up and down the screen along the edges, and you're scraping that glue off every single time. Now, I find the razor blade works better in the iPhone 4 compared to the iPhone 5. I didn't really like using it in the iPhone 5. It felt like I was scratching the top. So again, just with that little bit of debonder or your acetone, put that on there, run your razor blade nice and gentle, nice and flat, up and down the screen, and you can see that glue being scraped off. And then once you've run it up and down a few times and you can see you're getting some of the glue off, then you can go back with your cloth, give it another little wipe, and just try and get it clean. We're doing pretty well, getting most of it off. Just need to get all of that glue off because you need a nice clean LCD to put the new glue on. So I'm going to get this into a position where you can have another little look. Right, so 5 minutes later, I'm going to turn the camera on. 5 minutes later, we've been cleaning. Again, a few drops of your debonder, a little lint-free cloth, give it a rub. If it's not coming off, then you've got to rub just slightly firmer. You can't put too much pressure on it because obviously it's quite a brittle LCD and touch assembly. You know, don't put your finger through it. I mean, you can just crack it very easily. But with a few minutes, you know, less than 10 minutes cleaning, being quite gentle, you can really get it nice and clean. So as you can see there, pretty clean, the LCD now. So next stage is to do another round of testing. Let's get the screen plugged back in, let's make sure it's working, and right, everything is still fine. I've got it plugged back into my makeshift iPhone 4. Put the power to it, so it's just starting to boot now. So again, you can see, pretty pleased with that. So it doesn't look like there's any bleeding for the LCD. It looks crisp, looks sharp. This is an original Apple LCD and Digitisement touch. I don't want to get fingerprints on it now. But yeah, that seems absolutely fine. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, so yeah, normally you'll find that it's a bit difficult to focus on. If the LCD and touch flex cables have got the little pads on the top, and before you started this, if there was a little bit of black tape running down the side, QR code in the top left hand corner, it's probably a genuine screen. So you know you're starting off with a good product to refurbish. So now that's done, let's get the new screen on. The next part of the process, you're going to need a couple of things. UV Loca glue. This is a 50-gram tube. You are looking to probably put 3 to 4 to 5 grams worth of glue per screen. So this can do what, 10 to 15 screens at a time. Pay about £9 or £10 for that. Bosh. You need a new lens, top piece of glass. Brand new. They come with a bit of film front and back, so you'll need to peel the film off front and back before you stick it on the screen. Now, a lot of videos out there about alignment, how to align the screen. Do you know what? Buy one of these. They're about £7, and well, yeah, ensures that you'll never mess it up. Now, because I didn't want to be I had it run this way once, and I put the screen in and I thought, right, okay, yeah, no problem, and then I'm going to put this on, put the glue on, put this down, and I put it down and realised about 2 or 3 mil, I don't know if you can see it on there, basically the screen doesn't align, and I was screaming and shouting and throwing my toys at the pram and how shit it was, and I was going to send it back and this, and then I worked out if you actually turn it around the correct way and then put the screen in and then put the glass on, it aligns perfectly. So for my own benefit, and I mean I'm probably a bit retarded really because it has got a bit of a deeper cutout here for the flex cables to go rather than here, but hey ho, I still got it wrong the first time I did it. So top and bottom, marked it, no problem. So we've got our LCD screen cleaned, working, tested. Gently push that into your frame. You're going to put your glue on here, and then you're going to put your lens on the top there. So then what you need to do, I'm going to pick the camera up a second, is you also need a UV lamp, black light, whatever. This is actually a note checker. So you know, you have at the front of the till, you put your note underneath it, the little UV security things light up so you know that it's a genuine note. This is a temporary fix for me. I ordered a much better one that's got about 9 of these little lamps in there, because your UV glue, as it suggests in the name, needs a UV light to cure, to harden, to seal. So you can do it by sunlight, but I think it takes like an hour maybe. It takes about a minute under a UV light. So, right, let's get set up and then we can do this. So, I've peeled the front and back stickers off of this. So this is pretty new and clean. So your glue, right then. A couple of different ways to put the glue on. I've tried it a few different ways, and this is the way that I particularly like. Put your finger in the top there and you can just push it down. You want to create basically a Y shape and then another Y shape. It just seems to be the best way to do it, to ensure that the whole screen gets covered in the glue, so you can't see any bits where it's not stuck, and the least amount of wastage that runs over the sides, because you get too much glue going over the sides, you might get some problems with the backlight, you might get it seeping through onto the LCD. So here we go. There's my first little Y, and then run it a little bit further and run it up and run it down again. So that, I think, is about right. I think that is pretty accurate to what I feel that we need to be able to do it. Now there's a little bit more in this top corner here, so I'm just going to slightly move that around just to ensure there's not too much in any one space. Right, so here's your important bit. Here's putting the lens on. Obviously make sure you've got nothing on the inside of the lens, make sure it's nice and clean. This has got a little mark on it, but it's actually on the outside, so it's okay. So, you're in your frame, put your top part against the butt, and you can see it's made contact already. So then you're just going to now let it drop down. And now all your job is to do is to make sure a good contact is made and all of the glue spreads, so you can only see jet black in the middle. So you might get some air bubbles caught in there. Again, you can just push them out. I think moving around the glue before you put the final lens down, or having any dirt on the screen, will enable you to have bubbles. Now you can pick it up and create a little bit of pressure from the back side of the LCD, because obviously this is a hollow frame. But you just really don't want to be pushing down very hard. You can try and see, if you put your finger top and bottom, you can see me pushing that bubble. Excuse me. And that's what you need to do. You just need to work the glue out, 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 out. See another bubble, work it out. Because once it sets, that bubble will remain there. It won't ever go. It will just annoy you. Well, it annoys me anyway. And I'm sure it will annoy you. So you just need to spend a few minutes working that glue all the way out to the edges. Get rid of all those little bubbles and making sure that you are left with a jet black screen. Right, so we're getting there, pushing all these out. So once you're happy, once you are pleased with the contact your screen has made, what you need to do is apply a little bit of pressure on it and then stick it under your lamp. because what you need to do is set it. So I am pretty much happy with the positioning of the top glass. I'm pretty happy with how the glue is setting. One tiny little bubble there, but I'm just going to get rid of that. So, once you are happy with everything, and then what you need to do is just hold that position down just for a few seconds while you just get the initial cure going on under your UV light. One final bubble I'm just working out. And then hopefully once it's gone, it will never come back. So we just move the screen under the UV lamp. We're going to let it just sit there, a little bit of pressure, just keeping the bubble out, and let it sit there for about 1 to 2 minutes just to cure up. We've had it curing under there for a few minutes. Taking it out, all seems fine. Yeah, everything looks really nice. So now all we've got to do is basically refix the frame. Now, just to do that, you just got to get it around the right way. If you look at a frame, in this case it is a 4S frame, and you'll see on one side the bottom pins are quite thick, and on the other side they're quite thin. The thin ones go up the top, so to ensure that you can't get it wrong. So all you got to do is then re-stick it. So just run a tiny dab of super glue around, or you can get, like, if you can get 2mm or even 1mm 3M tape, you can stick it. Me personally, I just put a very tiny dab of super glue on each corner. So I'm going to show you that in 1 second. Right, so just get a tiny dab of super glue on a little bit of card or something. Use something with a plastic ridge and just transfer a little bit of that super glue to run it round just the edges of your frame. Don't put stupid amounts of super glue on it because you don't want it seeping through, and it's quite an aggressive glue. You just need a tiny little bit just to run round the edges.